All right. What is this? Okay. Well, here we are, everybody. If anybody is here in the chat, then make yourselves heard and known and seen and whatnot. Yes. God, this picture in the background kind of looks weird, don't you think? All right, come over here. All right, so we are waiting for some people to join in our good live stream so we can start talking. So if you are here, show yourself, people, and let me know that you are in the chat. We have Wild Wolf 130. Okay, nice to meet you. How are you? Where are you from? How long you been watching the channel? 3 people we have here. Okay, so it's me, Wild Wolf, and one other person who is not showing themselves. But I live in France, but I'm from Israel. Okay, cool. Very nice. Very nice. So yeah, I mean, hello, says Amer Mustafa Wadwan Kafel Shashuk. All right. Marhaba. Nice to meet you. Ramadan Kareem to you as well. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you, Amel. So yeah, you know, have a good fast and all that, and hope all goes well in the holidays, wherever you are in the world right now. So yeah, I just wanted to say a few things here about this video. I mean, we're probably going to talk about other things. There's all the live stream always, you know, derails into other subjects, but I might as well like say a few things about what I wanted to say concerning my last video, because I made a video, I don't know if you guys saw it, about the Rwandan Genocide when I was in Rwanda, in Africa, right? Part of my Africa tour. And I'm at my house in Cairo. All right, great. Nice. Okay. So yeah, Ramadan Kareem. Yeah, so I made this video about the Rwandan genocide, and when I was making the video, I wanted to add a section at the end of the video with some of my personal thoughts on the Rwandan genocide that are relevant to me as an Israeli. So I had that planned, and then in the end I didn't do it, and then I was kind of looking at the video, and I was like, okay, I don't know if this is really necessary for the video. And you know, if you add more sections that people are not watching, it hurts the productivity of it hurts the algorithm of the video. So I dropped that. So I decided to do a live stream to talk about those things that I wanted to say in the video that I didn't say. And hi, Jose. And talk about the insane, and I mean like really insane. I don't know if there's anyone from Rwanda watching now, because my last video is from Rwanda. Like the insane reactions I got from that country about this video. I'm just in shock. I don't know what, like I'm getting this, I'll talk about that in a minute. Like, I just can't believe this, like I'm getting such like really visceral, vicious backlash for this video that is just so out of place, I think. So it just drives me crazy, you know? So I'll talk about that maybe in a second. But first, okay, so I made this video about the genocide in Rwanda. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. Jose Cruz, hello. I don't know if you guys saw this video or not. And I don't know if you guys know about the Rwandan genocide or not. So those who don't know, I'll explain. Rwanda is a country in Eastern Africa. They have or had and still have 2 big ethnic groups there, Hutus and Tutsis. And in 1994, after a period of like a few years of sort of civil war, the Hutu-led government was kind of like sidelined, and these extremist groups with a very like supremacist ideology, it was called Hutu Power, decided to exterminate all the Tutsi the Tutsi group. Okay, so they were like the population split was like 75%, 20 to 25% or something like that. I don't remember. So the 75% decided they're going to exterminate the smaller group, the Tutsi. Okay. And they went, and these, there were these militias, and the army looked the other way, and they started going to people's houses and shooting them, chopping them up with machetes, butchering them, killing them. A genocide, full-blown, what we call genocide, right? When you say, your ideology is, I'm going to kill all these people, and then you go ahead and you start killing all the people that you can find. Okay, that's what we call genocide. So they killed probably like over 800,000 people in this genocide over a period of like less than 1 year. So that's a lot of killing in a not so, in a short period of time. This happened in the late 90s, so it's recent. It's like within my lifetime. It's, in the era of TV and things like that, where, there was some news about it, but people didn't do anything. And this is what happened. I went to Rwanda now, and this is over 30 years later, and I tried to tell the story of the genocide by going to some interesting sites where things happened that I thought were relevant. Like I said, I wanted to add some of my personal experience concerning this story. So one personal thing that I have that's relevant is that I'm Jewish, right? So we went through a genocide in, Nazi Germany and Europe in the 40s. So any group of people that is systematically exterminated, as happened in this case, I want to learn about the story and see and tell the story and raise awareness about this element of history, right? So that's one reason why I wanted to do this. I did a similar video about the Armenian genocide, which happened in the early 20th century, which was an inspiration for the Nazis. So that's one personal connection I have to this story. Second issue, and I talked about this in the video, is the UN. What happened in the Rwanda genocide was that there were UN forces that were there in Rwanda that basically completely failed in their mission, or almost completely failed, and didn't, in some places, pulled out of certain parts of Rwanda, knowing full well that the implication was that Hutu militias would go and massacre the Tutsi people, those who were killed. So basically, I went to a school where there were a bunch of people sheltering there. The militias came to. There were a bunch of people sheltering there. There was UN force. The militias were waiting nearby, and then the UN force received an order to pull out. So they pulled out. And as soon as they pulled out, the militias came in and massacred, butchered everybody, right? So this is also relevant to me as someone from Israel, because I've seen in this region and in my conflict, right, how the UN is just incapable of preventing conflicts. As a peacekeeping force, the UN is just not worth anything. And we have to be realistic about that, right? In the future, like now with the Israel-Gaza and Hamas and Lebanon, UNIFIL, all these things, some people say, well, maybe the UN. We need to understand that the UN is limited. Okay, do you know Al Ali from Egypt, Cairo? Yes or no? And do you know football? Yes or no? Goodbye. I know Al Ali and Zamalek, right? Al Ali and Zamalek, those are the two main teams, I think, in Egypt. Yes? So, yeah, that's Al Ali, right? As far as Egyptian football. But I'm not the biggest expert on Egyptian football. But yeah, we have here Constant Sorrow, says Slava Ukraini. All right. So, yeah, I mean, back to my story. That's another thing that's relevant to me, is that it's okay that the UN has limitations and what it can do, but we have to be realistic about them. So if you start banking on the UN to keep the peace, you're actually causing more damage, I think, than just understanding that, okay, the UN is limited in what it can do and we can't really rely on it to keep the peace. TI says there have been successful UN peacekeeping missions. Okay, like? Where exactly? Because I saw the UN fail in Rwanda. I saw the UN fail in Israel, Egypt, fail in Israel, Lebanon. I saw the UN fail in the Balkans. Namibia, okay. You want to share a bit about that? Where are you from, by the way, TI? TI. All right, so we have here a story of UN success in Namibia. According to TI, I'd be interested to hear how this came about, you know? So yeah, UN success in Namibia, because I remember that the UN force, much love from Rwanda, says Herman Prince. Okay. All right, Herman Prince. We have a Rwandan in the chat. So I'm going to get a second to, maybe you can help me understand some of these, the reactions, some of the Rwandan reactions to this video that I made. Actually Boring is here. Uno, hey Nomad, how are you? Long time no see. Talking about the UN. Elon said yesterday the US should leave the UN. What are your thoughts about it? Elon, you mean Elon Musk? All right, Wandering Nomad is here as well. Okay, they helped end the civil war there and made sure they had their first free and fair elections. And I'm from Morocco. Where are you from? I'm from Israel. So, okay, that's interesting. Thanks for that information. I'll have to look into that and see what role the UN played. If they played a positive role, well, that's nice, because they didn't play a positive role at all in Rwanda or a bunch of other places. So, yeah. But, you know, we in Israel, we have a big trauma from the UN, from UNIFIL in southern Lebanon, that just wasn't able to stop Hezbollah from arming and like sitting on the Israeli border. Between Israel and Egypt, when we were fighting Egypt, the UN could just be kicked aside very easily. So weren't able to prevent any conflict then either. So, you know, I still am of the belief that the UN peacekeeping is of a very limited ability in many situations, and we just can't really bank on that as a peacekeeping force. Maybe as you can put it there and hope for the best, but you have to understand that you just can't rely on the UN. TI says they played a positive role, but to be fair, the sides in Namibia were super weak, so not the best example to use. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe. Look. The UN kind of acted as a police force in Namibia to enforce laws against sexual assault, since there was a lot of rapes in Namibia. Okay. You know, it sounds like they helped maintain some semblance of order and peace when they were there, maybe. But again, I just have too many examples of the UN failing. They also failed between Pakistan and India back in the day. They had a test in the 70s where they kind of weren't able to prevent any type of like outbreak of fighting in Kashmir, and then kind of like fudged the issue. Then there was, of course, between Israel and Egypt, where there was a peacekeeping force in the Sinai, which the Egyptians were able to just cast aside. And of course, in Rwanda and in the Balkans as well. Actually, Boring says, is there even an example where the UN didn't fail? so TI gave us an example of Rwanda, where at least Namibia, where at least they didn't fail, right? But did they succeed? I don't know. Another thing that's important that I wanted to talk about was the fact that in the Rwanda genocide, right, in 1994, the head of the peacekeeping operations of the UN was Kofi Annan, right? Now, you might have heard of Kofi Annan, some of you, because Kofi Annan, he's from Ghana, by the way, became Secretary General of the United Nations, just 5 or 6 years later. And that's like, all right, you were head, like literally a genocide happened while you were head of peacekeeping operations. I believe he was also head of peacekeeping operations in the Balkans when the Srebrenica massacre happened in Bosnia. So, he completely failed in his peacekeeping mission, and he just got promoted to the Secretary General. So that's kind of like the UN in a nutshell, right? There's no accountability. You could be a complete failure and you get promoted. And yeah, I mean, it's so what do you want? You want Judea and Samaria? We're not talking about that now, though. Ken Mizrahi, nice to meet you. So yeah, so that's another thing I wanted to talk about in that video. And this, you know, in Rwanda, when I read the stories about how the UN just kind of like walked out of places and allowed people to be massacred and butchered, I was like in horror. So it's something that I wanted to talk about in the video, and I wanted to talk about here. God gave me the land to. Oh, okay. Do you think situation in Ethiopia got worth according to your view? Worse? What are you talking about? TI, but what's the alternative to the UN? Is it not good to have an international body to increase cooperation? Yeah, increased cooperation is good. Like the UN can do some good things. Sometimes they do good things with refugees. Sometimes they do good things with, you know, aid programs, food programs. Yeah, there are things they can do. I'm just saying we have to understand their limitations, right? So, you know, the UN is very limited, has a lot of problems, and we can't like have these unrealistic expectations that the UN can prevent massacres or prevent wars or prevent all these things. I just don't think they can do it. Why do you think there are so many genocides happening, but they're only talking about Israel? Okay, so first of all, there aren't that many genocides happening now. You know, there's Sudan that we had a lot of people that were killed recently. We have in the Congo now, which is right next to Rwanda. There's a whole thing going on there. I don't know all the details, but it must be annoying to be Israeli. You can never just be a person. You're always the state of Israel. That's so true, man. This is one of the things that I say all the time. I'm always like, yeah, like I've traveled a lot around the world, all right? I've been in a lot of hostels and hotels and a lot of situations where people from different countries meet each other. Like I've seen this. Like I've never seen like a Chinese guy walk into the room and people start saying, "Your Chinese government is doing da 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 da." You know, like all of a sudden he has to like defend the state or something like that, or a Russian or a whatever, like or a Syrian, or you know, there's a bunch of places where things are happening. It's like only with Israel, it's like you are a direct extension of the Israeli body. You're like the arm, and you have to like start explaining things. 500,000 people killed in Yemen. Yeah, I don't know though if that was a genocide. I just think they had like terrible war conditions and famine and things like that. But yeah, and that's another thing, by the way, that I wanted to say. You know, I that's another thing that I want to say in the video also, that this whole thing about Israel supposedly committing genocide in Gaza is also you know, something that bothers me, right? I went, you know, I didn't just study, of course, my own genocide, right, the Holocaust, but went and studied the Armenian genocide, went and studied the Rwandan genocide up close, learned about it, talked, went to the sites. So it's very, let's call it this way. You're demeaning the word and the language and insulting the millions of people who actually went through this crime when you misappropriate it, when you misuse it, you know? There are, okay, so TI says the IDF committed war crimes in Gaza, but I wouldn't call it a genocide. Okay, so that's like a more normal approach, you know what I mean? Because there are so many terrible and bad things that happen in this world that 99.99% of those things don't amount to genocide, right? Like there's a whole world, a huge whole wide world between perfection and squeaky innocent to genocide. You know, there's like a lot of things in between. So yeah, I mean, that's also kind of like, I knew when I made that video, or for me, anything on my channel, if I talk about genocide, and people will say, "Oh, why do you, how dare you talk about genocide and not talk about the Israeli genocide in Gaza, and so forth." And again, like I studied these cases, and we can compare them. So, for example, take three genocides, the ones that I went through closely. Holocaust, 6 million people were killed. There were gas chambers that were built specifically in order to, you know, murder people. They used to shoot people at point blank range and bury them in mass graves and so forth. These are some of the methods that were used, and it amounted to 6 million people dead. Armenian genocide, we had the Turks basically emptied the Armenian towns of its people, forced marched them to the desert in Deir ez-Zor in Syria, and just left them there in the desert to die of starvation and thirst and whatnot. And we're talking about 1.5 million people that were killed in what? A year and a half or something like that, 2 years max, like in a very short time. 1.5 million people, that's the number. Then we have the Rwandan Genocide, which was in 10 months, you had groups of people who, again, went like deliberately door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood, town to town, executing people, either with guns or with machetes, mass killing them, throwing them in mass graves and everything. This amounted to, and we might get into a discussion about this because I got a lot of, hate because I said it was 800,000, which is what the Encyclopedia Britannica says, what Wikipedia says, what a bunch of scholarly articles say. But according to the Rwandans, it's 1 million. Whatever, it doesn't matter for the purpose of my argument. Let's say it's 1 million. Okay, 1 million people were killed in 10 months, executed, in a not 10 months, it's 3 months. Okay, yeah, I think like that, the period from the shooting down of the plane of the president to the liberation by the Kagame forces was 10 months, I think. But okay, let's say 3 months. 10 months, 3 months. You're talking about in a very short period of time, you killed at least 800,000 people, maybe 1 million people, by chopping them with machetes or by butchering them with just shooting them at point blank range, right? So these three, I just gave you 3 examples. I gave you numbers: 6 million, 1.5 million, 1 million, and the methods, gas chambers and mass executions, force marching people to a zone with no food and water, Armenian genocide, or, chopping people up with machetes or with guns. And then we have Gaza, which is, okay, we had 6 million, we had 1.5 million, we had 800,000 to 1 million. And then we have Gaza, which is 45,000 people, of which probably 20,000 are Hamas fighters. And no instances of, like gangs of IDF, like going house to house and killing everyone that they can, or any such methodology of genocide. So it's a stupid comparison to make. And of course, it's an insult to actual genocide victims and a politically motivated use of the word. Insightful Nomad, I keep going back to that video where that Egyptian gift shop owner instantly clocked you and said shalom. Yeah. I just gave off the vibe, huh? But again, it shows that there were some that was the period before October 7th where Israelis were starting to go to Egypt, right? So like he'd already seen a few tourists before. Those were better times. So yeah, I knew when I made this video about Rwanda that some people would say, well, what about the genocide in Gaza? And as I just said now, that's just something that you got to deal with, that people are going about trying to make this claim, which is clearly a false claim. Which country will have genocide in future in East Africa, according to your view? I don't know. None, maybe, hopefully. But yeah. It's harder to do now because you do have more internet and things. It's easier to bring about aid, stop it somehow, some way. But we saw still, even now, like in Sudan and stuff, tons of people were being killed. Mahmoud Omar, I learned from you a lot. Thank you so much. Your YouTube channel is my Netflix. Cool. I wish I made the money. Netflix is money. Be glad you were only Jewish in Uganda, because if they were gay, they would definitely have treated you differently. Yeah, I heard something. The president said something about gays that the liberals didn't like. But yeah, it's not my business, right? It's already happening in Congo, but not recorded yet. Yeah, so that's I'm hearing there's some really bad things happening in Congo. Um, I don't know if somebody here knows something about it. I came to Rwanda. I wanted to be nice. I wanted to respect the country, and I didn't want to start getting into digging around on this whole Congo thing and say anything about it. But after I made my video about the genocide where everyone attacked me, which we can get into soon, if there's anyone here from Rwanda, it made me think like, okay, maybe something is off here. I don't know. But I feel like in that video that I made, and I used to be a journalist for 5, 6 years. So I know very well when someone, for example, misrepresents something intentionally, when someone is completely ignorant, when someone uses very insensitive language, when someone is trying to distort something. These are things that I see often. And like, I don't think I did any of those things in my video in Rwanda. And I got like people who went absolutely bananas like on me on certain things. For example, like the fact that I said 800,000 instead of 1 million, there are people keep saying, it's not 800,000, 1 million. It's not 800,000, 1 million. And it's like, first of all, it's not like I'm saying it's not 1 million, it's 100,000, which would be like to completely whitewash the subject, I'm saying, okay, we're talking about a 20% difference, which is, it's important, but it's not something that is trying to distort the picture. But also, every major source is saying 800,000. Encyclopedia Britannica says 800,000. These articles, scholarly articles, are already 800,000. These NGO sites that I looked at, everyone's saying 800,000 except for the Rwandans. So I don't know what to say. So I'm saying, like, I tell people, okay, fine. You tell you it's 1 million. I'm wrong. Like, first of all, explain like why I'm wrong. Like, show me why. And also, you could be like a bit more forgiving. Be like, okay, thank you for telling our story. But just so you know, it's 1 million because ABC. Instead, everyone like went on full on attack against me. That's one thing. Then there was another thing that people got angry at me with a lot, which was I called it the Rwandan Genocide and not the Rwandan Genocide against the Tutsi, right? Someone here says, I'm Rwandan, but unfortunately, I didn't see your video. My dad was killed in 1994. Really sorry for that, man, or lady, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, like that's very sad. People lost family members, obviously. So yeah, another thing that I got was when I said the Rwandan genocide and not Rwandan genocide against the Tutsi, which is apparently like the way you're supposed to say it in Rwanda. But again, like I'm a foreigner, right? So maybe I don't know what terminologies you're supposed to use internally, but it's not like in the video I wasn't saying constantly that the people who were massacred were the Tutsi, or that it was Hutu militias who went and killed Tutsi. Like I made this pretty clear in the video. So again, it's like it doesn't fall under the category of sort of deliberate misrepresentation or something like that. It's more semantic. So I would think that people would be a bit forgiving on that, right? They would say, okay, thank you. Again, like, nice video, blah, blah, blah. Just so you know, we use this terminology because da-da-da. Instead, everyone, they just started going like crazy on me. Like, you can't call Rwanda genocide. It's Rwanda genocide against the Tutsi. It's Rwanda. And I'm like, I know it's against the Tutsi. I said it's the genocide against the Tutsi. I'm aware of that. So it's kind of like I didn't understand this like very almost hysterical like opposition to some of the things that I did in the video that I don't feel like they warranted that type of attacks, like also, like if you go into Wikipedia now, it says Rwandan genocide, right? It doesn't say Rwandan genocide against the Tutsi. You go into whatever Google, like that's the terminology that's used internationally. Like it might be offensive to Rwandans, I understand, because it's your history and you have your own, but like you could be a little bit more forgiving to someone from the outside who comes and tells the story. Okay, we have here our Rwandan friend here. So 800,000 is a recorded number after the genocide happened, but we keep finding bodies every year. That's why the number increased, but not recorded internationally. Okay, fine. Like, you may be right. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I'm not, like, I did my background reading, but I'm not an expert on the Rwandan genocide by any means. So again, like I say, that's like what frustrated me when people, they started, they really push this thing of 1 million. And like, for me, it's fine. Like you could say, hey, buddy, just so you know, Like according to recent scholarship in Rwanda, it's 1,900,000. It's important. Fine. But instead they're just like, it's not 800,000, it's a million, and like, no, not talking about anything else in the video, and like angry, putting angry faces. It's like, I don't think it warrants that, especially considering that, like you said, internationally it's not recognized, and it's an understandable mistake. Like, I'm still not sure it's a mistake, but if it is a mistake, it would be an understandable mistake for someone like me to make, right? So, like, I just felt like that I got a very aggressive response, and I don't feel like I deserve that aggressive response based on what I did, but, Okay, genocide is not based on the number of people killed. It's defined by the intent, deliberate effort to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic group or religious group. No, I've heard this argument. Sorry, the genocide is a taboo topic in Rwanda. That explains the outburst. It's still fresh in people's minds. Most of the country breaks down in tears when it's a commemoration in April. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Like, maybe I shouldn't have touched on the subject, but I just love history, as a person. Like, I love history. I love, I feel a sense of commitment talking about historical things and learning from historical things. And this is, like, for me, a very somber and important historical event. Again, because for me, every incident like this, like genocide, I have to go and learn about it. I have to go and see it, and I have to go and, do something about it. So for me, it was obvious that I go to Rwanda, I have to do something about the Rwandan genocide. But now I see that maybe it wasn't smart, quote, from the perspective of, I don't know, getting on the good side of the Rwandans, But yeah, I just wish people could see past, the definitions and whatever, and see that I was trying to pay homage to the people and praise Rwanda for reconciliation after the genocide. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was the purpose of the video, and if people watch it with an open mind, that's the message they should get. Okay, well, let's start answering some questions. What do you think about No Other Land winning an Oscar for documentary on West Bank occupation? Yeah, I saw something about that. I didn't see the video. I didn't see the movie, but yeah, like, I don't know what to say about it, because I don't know the person who made the speech. I don't know. I didn't see the video, so Herman Prince says, yeah, it's fine to say a recorded number. Mistake is from us Rwandans not keeping up on recording new details on the internet. So as Rwanda, it's fine as long as the story passes and in a good way. Yeah, I mean, look, again, it's kind of like, it's also possible that there's disagreement, Scholarship is like this. We're talking about an event that happened. We don't have all the details. So there could be, in the future, there'll still be disagreement. Some people will say this amount, some people will say this amount, it's normal. So like, I think it's fine if there's a certain degree of disagreement. I just don't think, I don't think the response needs to be so strong. If someone, let's say, says 800,000 because he went into Google and he saw 800,000, then that's kind of like a normal thing to do. You know what I mean? And then you can make your case on the YouTube comments. You can say, look, just so you know, there's this, for this and this reason, you're wrong. And I'm fine with that. Like, if someone makes a proper argument in my YouTube or in my live stream, then I listen. Like, I love learning, right? I'm open-minded to learn. Someone says, praise Rwanda, what the fuck? Okay, I don't know. That's, again, some of the other stuff that's going on that I wouldn't know of. Yes, I indeed, I think talking about the genocide in Rwanda is very sensitive, so I advise you to stick to the context. Okay, I don't know what you mean by sticking to the context, but yeah. Shalom, my Jewish brother. I am a Muslim fan of your videos. Thank you. What is this painting behind you? Yes, it's some painting. I won't tell you where I am, but it's yeah. What is this? Where are you from? Israel. Kigali, cleanest city in Africa. Yeah, from what I saw, it was the cleanest. The genocide is in Congo, not Rwanda, though. Yeah. So again, all right. Let's do this, okay? Because we have some Rwandans in here, we have some other people in here. How about somebody fill me in what's going on in the Congo? Give me the Rwandan perspective. Give me the other perspective. What I know is that after the events of '94, when Paul Kagame came with the Tutsi forces, then a bunch of the Hutus, some of them criminals who had committed genocide, others who maybe were just afraid of reprisal or whatnot, fled into Congo and set up like camps, refugee camps in there. And then there was kind of like a country within a country. And since then it's been destabilized and a lot of things going on. That's what I know. Like that's very basic, right? I don't know the facts. So how about somebody fill me in with the facts? If you love your history, don't change it to serve your purpose. Stay true to yourself and stand by what is right. Okay. I assume that for you, that means like supporting the Palestinians or something. I don't know. But like when I go over the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict, I don't exactly come away feeling, wow, the poor Palestinians never did anything wrong, which is what the Palestinians would want me to say. But it's just not, it's not what the evidence shows, I would say. I mean, of course, you can argue otherwise, but... Alpha says it's usually the empire that leaves an inside force that controls it from the inside and causes issues so they can solve it. This is in reference to what exactly? To the Rwanda-Congo situation, or... What else did I miss here? Shalom, my Jewish brother, Muslim fan of your videos. Okay, thank you. I saw that. Shirzad is just spam. Simon Shirzad, Trump. Okay. Okay, what else is Trump Gaza #1? All right, what, did I miss anything else here? Okay, let's see what else is going on. I'm just wondering, as a Muslim who is pro-Palestine, if I would be respectful and kind, would it be allowed to visit Israel to tour? I have friends who did Birthright, and they make it sound nice. Okay, so first of all, we have like Muslim travelers here, yeah? That's not a problem. There is an issue of entering. So the airport security is like very rough in Israel. Like there are reasons for that. We've had terror attacks in the airport, but we've also had people who flew in and then did all kinds of things. And obviously we have a security situation ongoing. Like, again, regardless of who you support, there's kind of like a war going on. So yeah, the security at the airport can be tough. And I always say that, and I always don't want to make any promises and just say, oh, you'll go in and everything will be smooth, because maybe it isn't. But I know a lot of people who came from various backgrounds. Mahmoud, the Egyptian guy who visited Israel, who was in my video, came. He went through some serious questioning, but he got through. And I would say that, once you're in Israel, there's no problem to visit as anything, Arab, Muslim. You can walk around dressed as an Arab Muslim and you'll be fine. So there's no problem. The problem is that entering can be tricky, because you have to they will question you if they see a Muslim name because of the situation, and they might search your bag, they might search you, and things like that. So yeah, but once you're inside Israel, then there's no issue. And again, you have to remember, 20% of Israel is Muslim, or 25% almost, and 20+% is Arab Muslim. I lived in Jaffa, which is there's mosques next to my house, there are Muslims, there's prayers, there's whatever you want. So it's not, you can walk around Israel, it's not a problem. They might even just think you're another whatever, or a tourist, or a local, whatever. You could be anything and anything, and there isn't much reason for them to harass you. As for visiting Israel as someone who doesn't, quote, support Israel, I think that's a great thing. And I always say, I wish, look, I visited Egypt, right? Does that make me a supporter of Egypt? Does it make me a supporter of their position to Israel, or a supporter of Sisi? Or no, I wanted, this country really interested me. There's a lot going on there. I wanted to see. I went. Same with Saudi Arabia. Same with all these enemy countries that I visited, right? So I think it's a great attitude that you say, okay, look, I don't like what this country is doing, but if I can go see with my own eyes, then I'll go see and just see what's going on there, so yeah, like, I didn't want to go. I don't really want to go to West Bank, like Palestinian territories. But I thought about maybe going there in the right circumstance, which would be, again, it would be like I would go as a vlog to just go, okay, let's see what the people are like. Let's see some of the food. Let's see some, and just kind of like soak it in a little bit. Like it's highly unlikely that I would go there and start trying to make some political point or spin something, whatever. It's just like, okay, we go and you see. It's always worth going and seeing. Like my friend Avi in that video that I made, I don't know, the ultra-Orthodox guy. It's like, don't listen to what you hear. Go see. Go see. It's always worth seeing if you can. Insightful Nomad, visit Morocco. I visited Morocco. Go to my Morocco playlist. I made like 5 videos for Morocco. Okay, let's go back. I had some questions here that I missed. Let's see. I sent you the link of a movie, documentary. It will answer most of your questions. Okay, thank you, George. George is a full-blown Rwandan. He's like, Alec, this is what's going on in Rwanda. You got to know. Okay. Okay. Are you okay with what you're doing? The Israeli police and Netanyahu, the war criminal. Netanyahu is classified this year as a war criminal and committed many crimes. Okay, like, I'm not a fan of Netanyahu, but I don't believe he's a war criminal. That's my personal opinion. The ICC, which is like, a court of some judge and 6 other lackeys that he had, without even examining all the evidence, and the positions that they gave were untrue, like starvation, which didn't happen, so now he's a war criminal. Okay, like, yeah, an international institution said so. I personally, the fact that the word international is next to something, or the word UN is next to something, or the word NGO is next to something, doesn't necessarily mean that that something is reliable. It could be. Not always, from my experience, or very often not. And that's just because these institutions have proven to be unreliable. It's like the UN, what happened in Rwanda, right? So we say the UN, peacekeeping force, UN, okay. And in Rwanda, what happened? They failed, and millions, hundreds of thousands of people died. So your performance, your credibility is based on your performance. The performance of the UN has been very bad in most cases. Therefore, I don't trust them particularly, So yeah, same with many of the NGOs. I don't know. This exchange is about Rwanda, not Israel. Yeah, but we're talking about both, and there's some overlap of stuff. So we're talking about everything. So are the airport security rude? Ti asks. Depends who you fall on. They can be. They cannot be. I don't think they'll try to be rude intentionally. But they could be tough. Like, tough doesn't mean they'll hit you or touch you or do anything, but they'll be like, they'll question you hard if you seem suspicious. They might ask you also if, like, you want to go to Palestinian areas, right? Like, are you planning on going to Ramallah? Are you planning on going to Hebron, to Al Khalil? Like, are you planning? That is straight away will like light up in their head, right? So if you're planning on going to those places, then they'll ask you, okay, so what are you doing there? And why do you want to go there? Like, they'll start asking. So yeah, that's why some people, particularly those who want to visit the Palestinians more than Israel, right? When there are a lot of people like that, they want to go to the Palestinian areas. They don't go to Israel. They fly to Jordan, and then they take the bus and they go through the border from Jordan into the West Bank. Which is, through the Hussein Bridge there, there's some Israeli presence, I think, there as well, but it's like, it's easier to do that for some people if that's the main thing that they want. But if people want to visit Israel also, then it's harder to do it that way. Okay, so Orca says, yeah, airport is strict, but it's for the people who live here and stuff. Yeah, like, I agree. Like, the airport is strict, but there are reasons. There are reasons. Would you support Israel leaving East Jerusalem and West Bank settlements? For what purpose? Depends, Do I believe that Israel leaving East Jerusalem and the West Bank settlements would bring peace? Would make the Palestinians and their supporters abandon their general narrative concerning the Jews and Israel? No, I don't think it would. That's why I'm not sure that's like what Israel should be doing. Okay, so now in 2025, the Congolese Tutsis formed a rebel group, M23, and the UN accuses Rwanda of supporting them, which is wrong because these people are fighting against the discrimination. There are Tutsis in the Congo. I thought like most of the people in the Congo that had come from Rwanda were Hutus who had escaped, or some of them were criminals, right? Like some of the genocide perpetrators. But people who were in '94 who fled there were Hutus. But again, like maybe I'm learning something here. Someone says yes, they are rude. There's really airport security. How many people live in Israel? 10 million. Okay, wait. Okay, I've missed a bunch of stuff here. Visit one day southern Nigeria. Okay, so I want to go with an open mind and not let my views get in the way of possibly learning new info that updates my views. Yeah, okay, that's great. You can go. And you'll see stuff, you'll see sites, like you'll see also Muslim sites. Like if you're Muslim, you'll see mosques, you'll see Al-Aqsa, you'll see a lot of interesting things, and you'll meet people, and I think you'll have a good time. Please visit West Bank and make a vlog. So yeah, I mean, there's my friend. I know him now personally. I didn't know him before, which is a Saluki, which probably some of you know. His name keeps coming up when I'm on live streams. He did a bunch of series of vlogs as an Israeli in the West Bank, in Palestine, as he calls it. His videos are very cool. So you can check his video out if you want that kind of content. Me, I'm kind of like, I have my issues with going to the West Bank, Palestinian areas, because there's danger in doing it to a certain extent. There's Hamas in the West Bank, and they can find out and kidnap you or something, or kill you, or I don't know what. And also, I'm kind of just in general a bit tired of like going to these places where I'm not really welcome as someone from Israel. I did a whole series of this. I did Egypt, I did Morocco, I did Saudi, I did Indonesia, I did Malaysia. It's like, okay, fine. Like, I'm happy I went. I'm happy I built some bridges between people. I got some people from the other side to, appreciate what I did, and that's great. But it's kind of like, it's stressful and it's kind of tiring hiding and stuff. And there's also like a point where I want to see a return, like I want to see, okay, I went to Saudi, I went to Egypt, I went to this. Saluki, my fellow Israeli vlogger, went to Ramallah and went to Jenin and all these places. Okay, so where's the other side? Now, show me the Egyptian who comes to Israel and does a nice vlog, not like an attacking vlog. Because there are some Egyptians who came here to do like aggressive vlogs against Israel. Show me the Saudi who comes and does a vlog. Show me the Palestinian who comes and does a vlog. Again, you don't have to be a big supporter of Israel. You can just come and say, okay, look, let's see what's going on here a bit, and kind of try to talk to people with an open mind to a certain extent, or just to laugh and make whatever, like it's not like every person I talk to in Egypt, it's a political discussion. We're just talking, it's fine, people talk. So like I want to, like at some point it's like, okay, I did that. There are other people who did that. Also my friend Coco Girl, she did that. She went to Morocco, right? Now let's see them come to us. But they don't. So it's kind of like, okay, some of us have made an effort to show your country and your culture and whatever, and you don't reciprocate it. So, it's like, all right, when I see someone when I see a Palestinian come to Israel and make a vlog, and someone you can send me like a vlog of like kind of like showing stuff and whatever, then I'll go and do it. This shouldn't be a one-way street. Hello, everyone. Why does Israel have embassies when all Israelis are supposed to be ambassadors now? That's a good one. How are you, brother? Kibiro. Nice to see you. Okay, so someone's here. What Rwanda's been negotiating? We're kind of jumping between a lot of subjects here. We're doing like the Israel and then the Africa stuff. What Rwanda's been negotiating with Congo from 94 till now is them to hand over the FDLR who committed genocide. So the Banyamulenga people now, they got tired of being refugees. They are M23. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of like what I was saying, right? Like there are people there for years that have been like the Hutus, right, who came after the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, and like they went to Congo, and then they kind of like took over areas there or something like that. That's what I understand. But maybe Rwanda have done more than they should be doing. That's what people are saying. Do you go to South Africa or Madagascar? Haven't been. Would love to go to Madagascar. Is very interesting, huh? Go to Namibia and Philippines and a free Iran. Yeah, Iran is my number one like country that I want to visit. Like that I'm most interested in visiting, but obviously I can't. But maybe in the future, if the Islamic Republic is overthrown, then I can go. It could happen. I mean, we saw Syria. In 1 week, Assad was gone after 50 years of being there. It's the type of thing that can happen fast in the right circumstances. All right, George, Herman, thank you for sharing the information. I'll try to look into it. But did you really feel unwelcome, threatened, or in danger while visiting Morocco or in Egypt? Yeah. Yeah. In Egypt, yeah. Morocco, not so much. But also remember that, like, I don't always say I'm from Israel when I'm in these places. Like, not every situation I'm comfortable to say I'm from Israel. And if I said I was from Israel, it could have been very ugly. Like I have that video of me. I made a whole separate video when I was in Cairo, when I went to the night markets with this guy Khaled, this nice guy that I met. And we went to this mosque, and all of a sudden there was like all these shabab, like these young guys surrounding me, and they're like, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" Of course, I told them. I didn't tell them Israel. It's like when you tell me I don't feel threatened, I don't feel threatened because I'm lying, because I'm hiding. you know that's the thing. So it's like that's exactly my point of visiting these places. Like if I visit the West Bank, I can't just go around and say I'm from Israel. In most places, maybe in a few, yeah, but like in most places. So yeah, I feel as long as you're hiding, then you're threatened. If you have to hide, then you're threatened by definition. It's like so yeah, like you do. Does it mean that every moment I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die? Like no, obviously. And like I said, I can always just say like U.S. or something or whatever, and get by like that. But there's there's tension. You're kind of like in places where you're supposedly not supposed to be, and where there are people who might want to hurt you if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. I have friends who were attacked in Belgium for being Rwandan? Why? Why would someone be attacked in Belgium for being Rwandan? That's interesting. Malach says, me and my friend met at uni in Texas from Egypt. We're trying to plan a meetup in Israel for when I do my birthright Israel. But he said he could only be allowed in Beersheba, can only stay there. That's interesting. Yeah, so there's basically the agreement between Israel and Egypt is that Israelis can go to Sinai Peninsula without a visa. And Egyptians can go like up to southern Israel, Beersheba, without a visa. Even though there are thousands of Israelis who exercise that option, right? They go to Sinai, and there are very few Egyptians who go to Israel. But for sure, you can go to Eilat, and you can also go to Taba, which is in the Sinai Peninsula. You can go through the border there and meet there or something like that. So, if you want to make it happen, you can make it happen. Is Ethiopia okay for tourists? Yeah, why not? They don't speak good English, but that's okay. Okay, so Ramadan says M23 goal is to promote unity among all Congolese people, regardless of their ethnic background. They're fighting to end tribalism in Congo. Thanks for your openness. Okay. All right, so that's one take. Wasn't Assad better than the new people? Well, we have to wait and see what the new people do, right? Someone says, why don't you visit Syria? It's visa free for the next 2 months. My reaction world, that's a death sentence. No, it's not a death sentence. There's a famous Israeli journalist called Itai Engel, who he goes, he has like a foreign passport and he goes to all these places. You know, he went to Iraq and he went to this and you know, he's been to Syria. So now, like he went to Syria now recently, like it was on TV. So you know, it's like it's possible, but it's risky. It's risky. Video title: Jew invades Malula. Beersheba is boring, nothing to see. That's kind of true. The worry is if you have to hide it for safety, then one mistake can be danger. I understand why he won't visit places, but I feel, look, it's also more of a problem when you have a camera, right? Like it's when you're filming, it draws attention, and there are like more issues. You know, like when I was in Saudi Arabia and stuff, I would feel more comfortable just saying Israel if I wasn't with my camera, because then I'm with my camera. It's like, okay, what are you doing? What is an Israeli person doing with a camera in Saudi? What are you, Mossad? What are you this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's a place that's generally safe, Saudi. Like, it's very safe. And there's also bloggers there. There are people there, Instagram. Like, it's become a social media place where people, you know, go. But when you're from Israel and you're with a camera and you're in one of these places, then it's like people are like, okay, you know, they're not used to seeing that. It's like, what are you doing here? Maybe you're doing something you're not supposed to do, and you can get in trouble. You can get in trouble. So someone says here, לא, אני לא נגעל, למה שאני אגעל? ומה זה נגעל? ומה, אתה יודע כמה אנשים אוכלים אוכל רחוב בהודו, ואוכלים אוכל רחוב בדרום מזרח אסיה, ואוכלים אוכל רחוב בדרום אמריקה? או שהבטן שלך עומדת בזה, או שלא. Insightful Nomad, you're generalizing a bit. You can visit Turkey, UAE, Kosovo, Albania, Bosnia, reasonably safe even. Yeah, no, fine. I didn't say anything about those places. By the way, I've been to Azerbaijan, I've been to Albania, I've been to Kosovo, I've been to UAE. So only Turkey and Bosnia haven't been on that list. I didn't say that every Muslim country I go, it's a risk. I talked about specific countries. I'm talking about countries that have a history of rivalry and thing with Israel, which is, you know, the Arab countries, Egypt, for example, Palestinian areas, Jordan, which I didn't go to, these places, right? And also some of the other ones, like Malaysia, where I was, you know, Indonesia, those places. All right, so Zoomer says, basically, Belgium has a massive Congolese diaspora, and Congolese don't like Rwanda. It's kind of like you going to Iran. Okay, all right, interesting, yeah. Yeah, they have like football players like Lukaku and this, right? So, yeah, I mean, damn. So if you go to Rwanda and you go to Belgium, then you can get harassed by the Congolese. That's interesting. Da Vinci says, thank you for visiting Rwanda. A lot of YouTubers come to Rwanda and spend most of their time admiring the beauty and nature of Rwanda, but forget to visit the Genocide Memorial Center. Yeah, the thing is, the problem with the Genocide Center in Rwanda is that you can't film there. I mean, there are several memorial sites. Like I went to a few. You're not allowed to film inside. So that's a problem, like as a vlogger, if you can't film, you know. Yeah. Saudis are Khaliji Arabs. They're a different ethnicity from Palestinians, and the Palestinian conflict isn't as relevant as you think it is in Al-Khalij, the Gulf. Yeah. Yeah, I know. You know, for some people, it's not their fight. It's also like a question of, look, for a lot of Arabs and Muslims in the Middle East in particular, it's like a central part of their identity and their story, the whole conflict with Israel. Also because of the story that they say about Israel, right? Their story about Israel is, and these countries, especially ones that had Jewish populations like Iraq and this, what they say, look, when you lived under us, the Jews, and when you lived under our sovereignties of whatever, everything was great. We all lived peacefully together. Not true, right? But this is what they're saying. We had this great life and so forth. And then the Zionists came from Europe, like the fake Jews, when they're not real Jews, the European Jews, according to them. And they came with their Zionism, and they kind of like ruined the coexistence in the Middle East. They came with their ideology. They kicked out the Palestinians and so forth. Because of them, the Jews left the Arab countries. And since then, we've all been suffering because of like the Zionists. This is kind of like a story that's told much in the Arab world. Now, of course, there's a lot of things wrong with that. Like starting with, oh, everybody lived peacefully. No, they didn't live peacefully. Like there was dhimmi status and there was persecution and there were all kinds of things. But that's the story that they tell. So it's like a central part of their identity. I think in a place like Saudi or like in the Gulf, it's a bit less, particularly in the Gulf. In the Saudi, they also had issues with Israel, right? They did the oil boycott in '73. They were part of the Arab Peace Initiative and this, they were like vying for leadership of the Arab world and stuff. So I think also for people in Saudi, like the Palestinian issue still is like, has a grip on the imagination as an Arab cause, a Muslim cause. People are attached to the issue, Okay, so someone says here, historically, the Jewish diaspora thrived. Where was it? The Jewish diaspora thrived more under Muslim control versus European control. Okay, so this is a interesting topic because first of all, TI, if you're from Morocco, you should see my video from Morocco with my friend Wadia, where we went to the Melach, like to the Jewish quarter in Marrakesh, and he told me a lot of stories about the Jewish life in Morocco and so forth. So I never said everything is bad. And it's true, like it depends what era, right? When you say the Jews' life was better under the Muslims, then if you go to, 1490, when there was the Inquisition in Spain and they kicked out the Jews and the Muslims, by the way, and they all fled to Morocco, then it was better in Muslim countries. But if you go to the second half of the 20th century, where all the Jews were fleeing these Arab and Muslim countries, like places like Iraq and like Algeria and like this, then it was actually better in a lot of the European countries, But in the end of the day, there's nothing like being like master of your own fate, like being self-determined as a people as opposed to a minority. Like if you're a dispersed minority, you're a dispersed minority. You're always going to be a little group and you're going to be at the mercy of the majority. That's just the reality. So that's why Israel for us is important. It's like, okay, you have your states, which are Arab and Muslim or Berber and Muslim if you're in Morocco, whatnot, where you get to express your culture and everything, and it's like the central part of the state. And we have our state, that's the argument for us. Whereas in the Muslim world, it's like, no, the Jews cannot have a state. The Jews had a place, and that was under our sovereignty, our states. Like you need to remain a minority under our states. And that's like just not, most people would not accept that. Like if I said the Palestinians should never be allowed to be self-determined as a people and have a state, they can only be a dispersed minority spread across the globe. I don't think that would go down very well, Israel is just never going to accept such a thing. Even if we think that's what should have happened historically, it's a dead end argument, right? To say, well, what's called anti-Zionism, right? Against the Jewish people being self-determined in their own country. Meaning Jews don't get to be self-determined in their own country. They get to live as minorities in a bunch of other countries. That's a like, you can argue it, fine, but good luck. Like, you're going to argue it for the rest of your life. It's not going to happen. All right. What is your favorite country so far? Hello from Kenya. Okay. I watched a video from Kenya, Tongaren Jesus. Yeah, there was a guy in Kenya who like claims he's Jesus and stuff. That was a fun video to make. Someone here says, why are Palestinians considered to be an ethnicity if Palestinian is an arbitrary identity used by Jordanians? Well, that's a loaded question. Like my perspective of Palestinians is that from an identity perspective, like I don't know about ethnicity and stuff. I think this part of the world, Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, is it's a crossroads of civilizations for 3,000 years at least. So, this idea that there's like a Palestinian ethnicity, or maybe like a, very strong Jewish ethnicity there, I think is a bit unrealistic, considering like how many people came through and left throughout the years. Like if you look at like what Josephus wrote in the 2nd century about, actually during the Josephus time, there were more Jews there. But if you look like later and stuff, you'll see that like, okay, you look in an area, there's some Jews there, and there are some Romans, and there are some Greeks, and there are some maybe a few Nabateans or like Arabs, and there's always like people coming through this area, That's regarding like there being one group that is belonging, as if it's an island in the Indian Ocean and there's like some indigenous tribe that's been living there. It's like that's not how that region has acted ever. As far as the Palestinians, look, I think they're primarily Arabs, right? That's not controversial. They call themselves Arabs. They're Muslim mostly. There are some Christians, but they're primarily Muslim as well. Hamas is an Islamic movement, right? So again, not anything that they don't say about themselves. And I think these are the main elements of their identity. Like this is what they speak Arabic. They wear Arabic clothes that people wear in the Arab world. They eat foods that people eat in the Arab world. They have family structures similar to what you have in other Arab countries. Extended families look after each other. Islam is a central part of life. Ramadan, everything changes. Prayers, Hajj, all that. So that's what I see them as. That seems to be the main element of their identity. As opposed to Palestinian. Like the Palestinian element of the identity, as far as I can see, is primarily the whole story concerning Israel, right? It's like, this was Palestine, we were here, the Zionists came, they kicked us out. The Nakba, we're refugees, this is my hometown, this is my grandmother's home, this is the key of her home. Like this whole like refugeehood and like struggle with Zionism. That's why I always say that that it's very hard to have a solution, because like the Arab Muslim element of Palestinians or Christian element of Palestinian society can coexist with Israel. Like you can be an Arab and speak Arabic and be a Muslim and wear a hijab and go to do Hajj and pray and do Ramadan and do all these things and live next to Israel or in Israel. There are people who live in Israel who do all those things. But if you're Palestinian, right, not the Arab element, but the Palestinian element, now it's okay. This is Palestine. This is historical Palestine. The map that they show is the map of the British Mandate, right? But like for them, this is historical Palestine. This is our land. The Jews, Ashkenazi Jews are not real Jews. They're fake Jews, right? They're converts. They're Khazars. They came here with the colonial powers, the British, the Balfour Declaration. Those people brought them here for colonial purposes. They stole the land from us. They kicked us out. Now we're refugees. We're struggling to get it back. Like this is like the central thing in the Palestinian identity. And none of that it's like very hard to reach a deal with that part of their identity, right? The Palestinian part. With the other part, yeah, because it's, but the Palestinian thing is saying, look, this is Palestine. The Jews are foreigners, essentially. They're not a nation. They're citizens of other countries, and they need to return to those countries. That's what, end the occupation. That's how the occupation ends, and then the conflict ends, according to them. All right. So someone here said, okay, first of all, we're jumping back to the Congolese issue. The whole issue with Congo is they keep accusing Rwanda of stealing minerals instead of addressing the root problem of the Congolese Tutsi who are marginalized and are being kicked out of their land. Okay. So again, like we have a case here of there's a minority in Congo. They're being threatened. The Rwandans are intervening from the outside and are being accused of not just intervening from the outside, but actually trying to steal resources or take over stuff. Again, I don't have any information, so I'm just I'm reading out what someone here says, right? Well, I ultimately don't believe that any state should exist, but those are some radical views I have. Yeah, those are some radical views, brother. But that's all, like, also, again, that's what I say. Like, when people are against Israel as being like Jewish, right? Like having a Jewish identity, they say, I'm against states built around identity. I'm against nation states. I'm like, okay, like, fine. Start with, I don't know. There's so many nations. Go to the former Yugoslavia and go to all the nation states that were created there and start picking them apart. When you finish that, you can circle back to me and then I'll dismantle Israel for you. You know, it's like it's like I'm against all nation states. We need to dismantle all nation states. Let's start with Israel. Like every time, it's like I have this general ideology, but the starting point is Israel. It's like, no, okay, fine. If the whole world gives up identity and they give up nation states and they give up religion and whatever, and it's like Israel get on board with the program, I'll be like, okay, fine. But this is just like signaling out Israel for having a nation state and like a state built around a certain national identity, while others, can do it and it's fine. So yeah, but Kenya says, hello from Kenya. I love your vlog. Didn't know Jewish don't believe in Jesus. Yeah, this is like a thing for me, right? Because I visited a lot of places where you have a lot of very religious Christians and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, you don't believe in Jesus? Why don't you believe in Jesus? One day you'll believe in Jesus. It's kind of like when I went to Saudi Arabia and they say like, inshallah, one day you'll be Muslim. And it's like, bro, guys, leave me alone. Like you believe in what you want to believe. I believe in what I believe. It's like, we don't believe in Jesus. That's our religion. Our religion is Jesus was Jewish. He was, he was some type of reformer or rabbi or, community leader, whatever. He may have been a great man, but he wasn't the son of God. That's what we believe. Each man believe what he believes. Muslims believe in Muhammad, Christians believe in Jesus. That's great. If it makes you a good person and, you go and you pray and you do what you do, that's fine. But like we believe in what we believe, and I don't want people like insinuating that someday I need to come around and believe in what they believe, That's the thing. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a thing that I come up a lot with, Christians, very often, that they have, a deep attachment to Jesus, and they get disappointed in you as a Jew that you don't believe in Jesus, and they kind of like want you to consider believing in Jesus, because then that will like save you or your soul from, some type of damnation or something. Greetings from Southwest Texas. Hello. Palestinians are not Arabs. Someone says Arabs come from Arab tribes. Palestinians are Arabized Levantines. Yeah, I mean, that's like an interesting argument. There's some truth in that, like for sure, right? So, the Arab conquest came into the Levant. And then, people were conquered, and some of those people were assimilated or converted, right? Like probably some Jews as well. This argument that the Palestinians are the real Jews who converted, even though I go a lot of like what a person is based on his identity, right? Not just his, okay, he had a great grandmother who was something, but like, what do you practice? How do you live? Like, what is your language? What is your religion? What are your customs? Like, that's a big part of it. So yeah, like this idea that the Arabs are Arabized Levantines, it's probably true, like to a large extent, right? So, Arabs came out of Arabia. Some of them came there and had descendants. So their descendants are like Arabs. And some of them are other people who converted or Arabized, right? Learned Arabic, took on Islam, took on this, and had descendants, and they're Arabized Levantines. But it doesn't change the fact that the Palestinians are, in their identity, as of this moment, Arabs. I mean, like, according to themselves, right? Like from the river to the sea, the chant is in Arabic, it's, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. In Arabic, it's from the river to the sea, Palestine is Arab, right? That's the chant, it says so in their charters, in the PLO charter, in the Hamas charter, like they say, we are Arabs, that's what the language that they speak, that's many of the customs that they have. And by the way, also like family trees of a lot of the leaders that we've seen also have the kind of Arab tribe family tree and so forth. So I don't dispute the fact that if you go back historically, then yeah, potentially a lot of the Palestinians are Arabized Levantines, So and that's fine. But like I still would say, as an identity, like what they are as as is expressed by what they read and what they talk and what they do, that they are Arabs. They act and talk and pray and behave like Arabs. That's not an insult to them. It's also why so many Arabs feel so committed to the Palestinian cause, because it is their fellow Arabs against the Jews who should not be there. So yeah. I watch a lot of Israel, like documentary Jewish and the Jewish from Ethiopia. Great, yeah, it's cool. When the Ethiopian Jews here have their big holiday, the Sigd, I'm gonna make a video about that. So I hope my African followers will want to watch that one. Love your videos as a Jew from Germany. Thank you. Aren't Palestinians Greek? No, that's the Philistines. So in the Bible, the Jews, the ancient Israelites, fought the Philistines, right? This is like what's written about in the Bible, like Goliath. Goliath the giant? He was a Philistine. He came from Gat. Gat was a city that was part of the 5 big cities of the Philistines. And most of the scholarship today shows that the Philistines, who are mentioned in the Bible, were Greek, right? They were this part of the sea peoples. These people came from the Mediterranean with boats, and they settled in coastal areas, perhaps some also in northern Egypt and in Canaan, which was where the Jewish or the Israelite people emerged with their unique traditions. And then they got into they were in conflict with the Israelites. So you had two different groups with two different gods, right? So the Israelites had their god, Yahweh, right? Jehovah, as we call it. We're not supposed to say that, but I say. What's the tetragrammaton, as we say, right? It's the 4 letters in the Torah, in the Old Testament. This is like a name of God, right? So the Jews had their God, which was Yahweh, Jehovah, and then the Philistines had their god, Dagon, which was like a fish lord or something, right? Because they came from the sea, so they had so you're talking about like two ancient tribes like fighting each other, each with their own tradition or whatever, and the Israelites won, yeah, or the Philistines. We don't know, like according to the Bible, the Israelites won, but also realistically, the Philistines kind of like disappear from the historical record, right? So they, we look at the coast, we see they had a certain type of pottery and this and and then they kind of just like disappear, like from the archaeological record. So we don't know exactly what happened to them, but they are no more. Here comes in also the story, right? That Hadrian, the Roman emperor, when he defeated the Jewish revolt, he changed the name of the Roman province, which was called Judea, after like the Jews or the tribe of Judah, and he renamed it Syria Palestina, right? He named it Palestine after the Philistines. This is like, you'll see on Twitter all day, this is what the Israelis are saying to the Palestinians, that like your name actually means invader, right? Like in Hebrew, which is a Semitic language, so the roots are 3 letters, palash, comes from, the word invader comes from the word Philistine, right? The Philistines were like invaders that they fought in the Bible. So that's why they're called the Philistines in the Bible. And then, when the Romans defeated the Jews, they humiliate them. They say, okay, we're not calling this land anymore Judea. After, you guys, the tribe of Judah, will call it Philistia, right? Or Palestina, after the Philistines, who are your mortal enemies, So that's the deal. Now, regarding the name Palestine, that's like the origin of the name Palestine. There is, though, the fact that Herodotus, who's like the father of history, right, a Greek historian from 400 BC, like one of the first people to write history, used the word Philistia before this event happened, right? Like like 400 BC or something like that. So like the Palestinians use that as a claim to say like, oh no, like it was called Palestine before the Romans renamed it Palestine, right? But I think this, again, I think like Herodotus was using the name Philistia because the Greeks knew about the Philistines, because the Philistines were essentially Greek. They were from Crete, from the island of Crete. So he called the land, as a Greek person, Philistia, after the Philistines. I don't think it means that the land was known throughout the ancient world as Palestine in relation to the Palestinians today. I would say, you know. But yeah, the as far as like the Greeks, yeah, that's the Greek connection, like to the Bible and all that. Um, all right, what else we have here? Yeah. If you're still in Kenya, I would love to host you, do a village vlog. Yeah, but I already did 2 village vlogs. I did in Kenya 2 village vlogs from Nibohanse, from Marwa. I am Marwa's village. So I did that. All right, what else is going on here? Je suis français. Okay. Vive la France. Dragon, half human, half fish. Dagon, half human, half fish. Yeah. Dagon, yeah, the god of the Philistines. What are your thoughts about Africa so far? So I'm not in Africa at this very moment. Spoiler for some people. But yeah, no, it was good. I was there like 3 months, and I'd never been to sub-Saharan Africa, right? I've been to Egypt and Morocco, never been to sub-Saharan Africa. And yeah, it was a good experience. I mean, like, it's nice, and it's there are lots of nice people. It's quite safe in a lot of places. So it's kind of like you know, another case of the world is not as scary as it seems on the outside. You hear like, oh, Africa, it's Africa. There are wars, there are this, there's, you hear, right? But then you go there and it's like, especially in the nicer areas, it's quite fine. And yeah, it's perfectly possible to visit. And yeah, those parts of Africa like Kenya, Uganda, and this are in decent shape. I have a lot of African friends in your school. Well, if you're from France, that makes sense. Isn't it ironic that the Arabs living in Levant at the time called themselves invaders? Israel's a secular country. They eat shrimp there. What else is going on here? Wait. I think it's stupid to fight for land depending on what happened thousands of years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think, but it does make sense to fight for what's called self-determination, right? So if you as a people, you want to have a place where you can thrive as a nation, right? That expresses your own identity. I think that makes sense. I mean, to like go all out war over a place that is like historical, whatever, then maybe not, you know. But I kind of feel like, some people they it's like, oh, why do you guys have to fight over some historical whatever or whatnot, and it's a bit of a narrow view, I would say sometimes. Like our identity, our national identities around the world, it's like one of the most powerful emotions that people have. Like, look at the World Cup. When your team, wins the World Cup, whatever, Argentina wins in Qatar, France wins in Russia, whatever, World Cup. It's like, it's the most strongest emotion you can have. It's like waving your flag, cheering for your team, because it represents something about you. So, like, again, I'm not saying everyone should go all out war over some area, like not just Israel, Palestine, like Russia, Ukraine fighting over. I'm not saying, but I'm saying that it's in the end of the day, it's kind of easy from afar to say, well, you guys, why do you need to have a proper state and everything? Just live your life. Like, it's not. That's kind of a bit unrealistic to expect of people to just do that. But of course, we should find compromises for things that we can compromise on. Iranians are smart people and want peace with Israel, not stupid like you, Sergio. Yeah, I love the Iranians. Great people. Iranians do not like Israel, little bro. I'm Iranian and I love Israel. Yeah, well, look, I met a lot of Iranians when I traveled, and most of them didn't have a problem with Israel, right? Most of the ones I met. But again, I was meeting expats. Yeah, I was meeting people who are not living in Iran. So that's, yeah. I mean, those are people who are against the regime, probably. That's why they're outside Iran, and they're more sympathetic to Israel because they see how their country is wasting all their resources fighting Israel, arming Hamas and Hezbollah for their Islamic whatever, and like for them, it's like that's not what they want. Do you agree that Tutsis are the descendants of the Jews? That is why Hutus hate them. I don't know. I know that the Belgians, when when they decided to back the Tutsi versus the Hutu, one of the reasonings they gave was that they claimed that the Tutsi were like Semitic people, right? They were the sons of Ham or something. And they are closer, like, racially to the Europeans, right? Then they weren't talking about ethnicities, they were talking about race, right? White people are race, black people are race. This is, of course, nonsense. This is, in modern science, there is no white or black people. There are ethnic groups that have certain, like, genetic markers, but, like, the white people or black people are not a race, like, scientifically. It's just false. So this was, like, a false theory that they had, which was like, oh, like the Tutsi are, I mean, the fact that the Tutsi might have some Semitic ancestry, that's not necessarily false, but like the Tutsi are like Semitic people, right? So they're closer to us, and the Hutus are Africans, so they're like inferior to the Tutsi. Like this is what the Belgians were claiming back in the day. So they backed the Tutsi because of that, among other things, right? Also just because the Tutsi had a monarchy and whatever, but like they were like, okay, the Tutsi are like closer to us as a race to us Belgians than the Hutu. Like they are less inferior. This is according to the sick colonial mind, right? I'm not saying any of this is true. Obviously, this is, like I said, there is no like race generally is a false thing. We say racism and stuff. There isn't really there's one race, there's the human race. And then inside the human race, you have ethnic groups that have certain ethnic markers that you can see in DNA, or might have certain characteristics in there, like with certain things, But like there is no such thing as like a completely like color-based ethnic group, for example. Turns out I'm 30% Iranian Caucasian Jew and only 20% Ashkenazi Jew. Yeah, it can happen. Which food was your favorite from Kenya? I don't know. I mean, when I was in Kibera, like in the slum of Nairobi, they had this really good street chapati. That was like the best chapati I had in Africa. It cost me like 25 cents or something. It cost me like 30 Kenyan shillings or something like that. It was insane. Guys, don't forget to support me on Patreon or any other way. I am, the life of a YouTuber is a difficult one. We don't make a lot of money. I really exist thanks to donations, which didn't come through recently. If there's anyone here who wants to donate in the super chat or in PayPal, which I have also on my channel description, if you want, then feel welcome to support me. It really makes a difference. Like literally, this channel could not survive without donations. Just would not survive. Like if I didn't have all the donations I had until now, because I had some amazing followers who really appreciate my work, we would have no insightful nomad. So this is my PayPal as well. You can donate there. And we also have my merchandise shop where you can get a shirt or a hat or anything like that. We have some cool stuff there. I'm adding a link as well. Just keep that in mind in the future. But if anyone wants to join my Patreon, I'm going to be having on Patreon soon exclusive stuff that I filmed that I never put up in a vlog. Like literally like vlogs, 10-minute vlogs. That never made it to YouTube. So that might be cool for you guys. So you should definitely check out the Patreon. There's also like content there that you can see, exclusive content. So yeah. Am Yisrael Chai. Na 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 na. Am Yisrael Chai. Na 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 na. Someone just wrote Am Yisrael Chai. Okay. In Hebrew. Talking genocide and ways to pay him more. Yeah, no, but that's like a normal thing. Look, every YouTuber because you literally need like hundreds of thousands of views every video to make it on YouTube, and sometimes even millions. Every YouTuber has like a Patreon where they offer exclusive content, and has a merchandise, has asks for donations like through their thing. It's a normal thing. It's just the reality of being in a very low paying job as a creator. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like when people like make fun of me, like, oh, you're asking for money. I can make a lot more money doing something else. I could make like I could work a job, make more money than being a YouTuber. So we don't do this for the money, but to survive to survive and be able to keep making content, donations go a long way. Is popular Hebrew music more Western style or Arab style? Depends. We have what's called Mizrachit, which is like the Sephardic Jewish music, which is kind of has more of an Arab style to it, Make a ranking of your favorite countries. Oh, then I'll start insulting people, RP Fragment says, I appreciate your videos, bro. In Hebrew, he writes. Thank you. Toda rabah. So yeah. I think this background picture is one of the Rwandan region. Which background picture? The thumbnail of this live stream is like from the Rwandan Genocide. They have some of the skulls, right? That were the bodies. Have I been to Mexico? Yeah, I've been to Mexico. Was a long time ago, before I was a blogger, before I was a vlogger, before I knew how to make cool videos and like travel in a good way. I was kind of like being a tourist, just doing like the touristic stuff, which is obviously what I don't do now as a blogger. So, times have changed. How many Arab donors you got? Not many. Yeah. What would you, as a way to learn Hebrew? Hablas español también. Yo hablo poquito español. Yo viajé en Sudamérica por 4 meses. 2023, ¿sí? Después mi video en Egipto. I hope that was all right, some of my Spanish. Mexico, no Mexico, Sudamérica. Que bien, yeah. Yeah, no, because I was there a few months, right? I was a few months in South America, and I had to learn. I learned, so I was already getting like half decent, and then I left. So yeah, and I haven't really practiced since. So I don't speak like well. I'm sure if I went now to South America and I spent some time there, I would pick up some more Spanish for sure. Bro, what's going on? So Sajad Ahmed, I'm good. Bro, what are you talking about? I don't know. Good accent. Yeah. Okay, so look, I also have to leave soon. Someone here asked about Rwanda situation. Yeah, that's kind of, I just came back from Rwanda, and I made a video there about the Rwandan genocide. We as Jewish people, we went through genocide, so it was important for me to cover that story and tell the story as best I could. And אתה יודע ערבית. Someone asked, do you know Arabic? شوي. انت عربي او بي جيمر من وين انت? What did the UN do about that? The UN didn't. The UN screwed up in Rwanda. Yeah, they just let the. أنا من إسرائيل. بس يهودي أو عربي. אבל יודע קצת ערבית. Okay. Okay, yeah. So like You are a great ambassador for Israel. Thank you. In EOD, okay. Yeah. No, I just like practicing my Arabic, so yeah. Helped me quite a bit when I was like in Egypt, when I was in Saudi, to speak some Arabic. I want to keep learning. It's a bit hard with all the dialects and stuff, but yeah. Shalom world, guys. Why do you keep responding to the Sergio guy? Like these people, you can't reason with them. The ones who go around spreading this craziness. Bro, what's your opinion on the war? Which war? We were talking about a war in Africa now. We were talking about the Congo war, but the Hamas war? Well, look, right now, the war is kind of in a pause, isn't it? Persians and Israelis are smart. Were you born in a religious family? No. I was born in like what we call a Masorti family in Hebrew, which is like a family that does like some stuff, keeps some traditions, but isn't like religious, So yeah, we did stuff that the secular Jews don't do. Like we kept Sabbath, and we would go to synagogue a bit, do the holidays proper, things like that. Keep kosher. Okay, Sergio, keep going, my friend. Keep the chat going with who brought the Jews back to Israel? Was it Jesus Christ or Ben Gurion? Not Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was a Jew himself. He didn't need to bring anybody back. Bro, what do you think about the West Bank occupation? So, look, what I say about this, first and foremost, is that according to the Palestinians and their supporters, everything is occupied. So let's just start with that, right? So Jaffa is occupied, Haifa is occupied, Al-Quds, Jerusalem is occupied, Tel Aviv is occupied. It's all occupied, according to the Palestinians and their supporters, right? It's all Palestine. It's all occupied. That's why when you read their media, or for example, if you go into a Telegram group, like a Palestinian Telegram group, as I used to do a lot when I was a journalist, then, they call the government al-ihtilal, like the government is the occupation. Like, Netanyahu is Wazir al-Awal al-Ihtilal, like is the prime minister of the, or Wazir al-Ihtilal is like the prime minister of the occupation, right? The IDF is the occupation army. The defense minister is the defense minister of the war minister of the occupation, right? The places that were attacked on October 7th are, oh damn, what's going on here? Oh, the places that were attacked on October 7th are settlements, even though they're not like West Bank, right? They're in Israel. So it's like, according to them, everything is occupied. So the Israel itself, they don't use the word Israel very often, right? There's also the Zionist entity, that's another one they use, and the occupation, or Israel, right, in quotation marks. So Israel is the occupation. So everything is the occupation. You can end the occupation by ending Israel, according to them. So like I'm saying, like you have to, until it's defined clearly. Like I'm not playing that game. Like the occupied this. You're claiming every piece of land that's part of Israel is occupied, and you're claiming the whole state is one big occupation. So you want to destroy the state when you say end the occupation. At least at the moment, based on their own terminology and the language that they're using. Like they're not saying, look, okay, Israel exists as a state, right? And then Israel is occupying this area which they shouldn't occupy because, and then give your arguments, historical arguments, international law arguments, whatever it is, That's not what's going on. Certainly not with Hamas, but also with the Palestinian Authority. So it's kind of like, I know the word occupation is very popular, and the words end the occupation, and this is the most popular one is resisting occupation. Have you heard that one before? Resisting occupation sounds great. Liberals love it. There's nothing like resisting occupation. I mean, who wouldn't resist occupation? But what if first of all, resistance means like, I don't know, going around and just murdering random people? First of all, I think that's a problem. And also if occupation means Israel, right? Because if you call the prime minister of Israel the prime minister of the occupation, and you call Israel the occupation, and you call this, everything the occupation, then when you say you're resisting occupation, you mean you're want to destroy the country and you're murdering people as a strategy in order to harm that country and try to take it down. And, that's not obviously something that I can in any way ever show sympathy for. You're not answering, homie. What was the original question was about, was the West Bank occupied, right? You say about West Bank is Palestinian land or something, right? What else did you say here? Bro, wait a second. What was the other question? Do you think about the West Bank occupation? Okay, fine. So I'm saying again, I think there's some problems with that because the West Bank was part of Jordan, right? Jordan annexed it illegally in 1949 when they captured it. Right? They kicked out any Jews that were there, like in Kfar Etzion, in the old city of Jerusalem, places like that, illegally annexed it. And then Israel captured it from Jordan. So I would say it's more of a disputed territory than, quote, occupied territory. I think you could say, if you want to say it's occupied by Israel in the sense that there are Israeli forces are there and Israel hasn't applied sovereignty, that's actually a pretty, okay argument to make. I think it's realistic. You can say Israel occupies the West Bank, right? It controls the West Bank and it's not applied sovereignty to make it part of Israel. So it occupies it. But to say it's occupied Palestinian territory is like a further level, right? Because now you're saying that Israel is occupying it, right? And it's sovereign Palestinian territory, meaning that the Palestinians had sovereignty there and Israel took it from the Palestinians. Not exactly correct. Israel took it from the Jordanians, and the Jordanians were illegally occupying it. All right? So my position on this is that I personally would love to see the Palestinians have a state, a thriving state next to Israel, me personally, which means that whether the designation of Israeli occupation concerning the West Bank is correct or not, right? I'm saying personally, as someone who doesn't, care so much for international designations because they can be very problematic, I say, okay, this is the reality. You have a certain amount of millions of Arabs who live in the West Bank, right? Where they have a demographic majority. They need to be self-determined in their own country. They should have a state living peacefully next to Israel. You can find a solution for the settlements and the holy sites like Hebron and stuff. You can. In which case, that would mean, in order to do that, that Israel would, quote, end the occupation, right? It would pull out some of its forces and some of its communities there in order to help foster the Palestinian state, right? So, I would support that if that would bring peace. If that's all that the Palestinians want, right? The Palestinians, they want to end the muted. Muted. You're muted, sir. Okay. Back. Oh, it's back? Okay. No volume. He's back. Estás bien. All right, guys, look. All right, I gave my answer. So, yeah. I got to leave. I know it's happened suddenly, but I said I was coming towards the end of the live stream. So yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of subjects here. And what can I say? Look, there's going to be more videos soon. So I hope you guys follow and watch. I want to say thank you to Vilar for sending a generous donation. Really appreciate it. And yeah, guys, check out the Patreon. Please check out the Patreon. There's some really cool content there. And you can support me over there as well. And if you can't support financially, then share the videos, comment on the videos. That also helps a lot. Really appreciate it. So just thank you everyone for tuning in. It's really nice to do these live streams. I like talking to you guys about these subjects. So yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Toda rabba, as we say. Greater Israel? No, no greater Israel. Just Israel. Wonderful content. Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, everyone. Time to check out. Bye-bye. See you around. We're going to do another one in a couple of days. In a couple of days, we'll do another live stream, and we're gonna cover some more subjects. Bless you, man. Bless you. Bye-bye.